Thank you. Thanks. Well, thank you very, very much. Good afternoon. It is wonderful to be here with all of you, and I want to thank your chair, Congresswoman Linda Sanchez. Big round of applause for Congresswoman Sanchez. I want to thank all of you for the important work that you do and the important work of CHCI. And I want to talk with you in our short time together about the American dream, about its importance, about its truth, about the responsibility we have to reinvigorate it and make it real around the kitchen tables of every family in America. My name is Martin O'Malley. I am a lifelong Democrat. I am running for president. I intend to win, and I need your help to rebuild that American dream. Now, I know that one of the big issues that challenges us today as a people, one of the very issues that has allowed us to become the land of opportunity, to build up a strong economy, is the issue of immigration. For me, I believe that that issue comes down to human dignity. That unshakable belief that we have maintained as a people for 240 years in the human dignity of every person. And in our country, our hope, our strength derives from the truth that we understand that in our nation there's no such thing as a spare American. Each of us is needed, and we have to help each other if we're going to succeed. So today I wanted to share with you my vision for that new and better future, and I wanted to share with you also the important and critically important role that our new American neighbors play in making it real. But before I do, I want to touch on something that I think all of us must acknowledge, which also cuts to the value that we put on every human life. And that is this very painful truth. Look, as a nation, we have failed to respond to the continued deadly reality of the proliferations of guns and illegal guns in our society as a people. And I cannot be in front of a gathering of this many Americans without touching on this at the outset, especially given the tragedy we saw in Oregon last week. I am challenging every Democrat who is running for our party's nomination and seeking the highest office in this land of President of the United States to join me in forging a new consensus for common sense gun safety legislation that has 4 specific, meaningful gun safety provisions. Number 1, we should ban the sale of combat assault weapons in our country. Secondly, we should require everyone who buys a gun to go through universal background checks with fingerprints and be licensed in order to do so. Third, we should use the purchasing power of our federal government, the largest purchaser of guns in this country, to insist that gun manufacturers implement the highest and best safety technology in all of their firearms in order for us to do business and purchase them. And fourth, we should make illegal gun trafficking a federal crime in the United States of America. One American life is worth more than all of the guns and all of the gun sales and all of the money from them that can be generated in this country. It's time that we govern that way, that we make choices that are in keeping with our principles as a people. It's easy to follow polls. It's more difficult to forge a new consensus. But every election is an opportunity for deeper understanding. And that deeper understanding can lead to better actions. We're the only nation on this, only advanced nation on this planet that has this sickness of gun violence and buries as many of our sons and daughters. It's time to change it, and we can do that in these Democratic primaries and in this Democratic debate. So let me talk to you a little more largely about a few other issues, and in particular, I'd like to focus on the American dream. I laid out 15 strategic goals for restoring the truth of that American dream about 3 weeks ago, and yes, one of them was gun safety and cutting crimes of violence in half. But another one was pushing for comprehensive and accomplishing comprehensive immigration reform. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the leadership of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and this invaluable institute. And I want to acknowledge some of the extraordinary young people in CHCI whose stories are exactly what it means to be an American. And it's what this battle for immigration and citizenship are really all about. Elias Flamenco, from my home state of Maryland, where is he? Yes. Elias is a CHCI public fellow. He was born and raised in El Salvador. Elias moved to Silver Spring as a teenager to reunite with his parents. In short order, he learned English, became the first in his family to attend college, and then put his degree to work in the cause of justice. And that's truly the American dream. Elsie Perez Herrera is from Las Vegas. Born in Mexico, Elsie grew up in the Las Vegas area, hearing disparaging comments about immigrants from the other kids at school, fearful that her own classmates might learn her story. Today, Elsie is a campus leader, a CHCI intern, and a proud fighter for citizenship rights for herself and millions of Americans like her. Elsie relies on DACA, and she's exactly why we need DACA and exactly why we need to do so much more. So, Elsie, thank you for your leadership. They are the voices in our politics today. I know that there are voices in our politics today who are saying some pretty hateful things about new American immigrants, saying things that run contrary to the common humanity we share as a people. But Elias and Elsie represent more powerful voices and more numerous. And I have news for people like Donald Trump and those in the Republican Party who say these hateful things. And it is this: in our country, there is no such thing as an illegal person. Babies do not come shaped like anchors. And almost all of us had to make our way here at some point. Over land, over sea, we came here, or our parents did, or our parents before, or great-grandparents. In other words, we are a good, compassionate, and generous people, and we are a nation of immigrants, a pluribus unum, from many one. And we wouldn't be such a strong nation and a beacon of hope to the world unless we were that diverse nation of immigrants. Our diversity is our strength, and our better days are ahead of us because of our adversity and our diversity and the arrival of new Americans in every single generation. There's nothing more American in my mind than to come here to live the American dream. That's what my great-grandfather did. His name was also Martin O'Malley. So the thing that many of you might know about the Irish is it's a shame. It's a whole race of people, but only 7 first names. He came here back in the late 1800s without any money. His first language was not English, it was Irish. He was a stranger in a strange land. But the hopes and dreams that he had for his children were purely American. Starting from zero, like so many other new Americans today, he worked beside a lot of other new Americans who risked their lives in the mines of Southwest Arizona to feed their families, to give their children and grandchildren a better future. And new Americans today have very similar experiences, the same drive, the same spirit, the same love of family and country that builds our nation up, one person and one family at a time. It's a spirit that has always made us the land of opportunity. Think about it. There's not another nation on the planet that has earned that brand of the land of opportunity. For many years, I have very intentionally and repeatedly used the term as an executive, mayor of a big city and governor, I have used the term new Americans. Because the genius of our country is not so much about where you came from, it's where you're going and where we are all going together. There was a time when my great-grandfather arrived here, and when he was greeted with signs that said, help wanted, no Irish need apply. I always kept a sign like that on my desk as mayor and as governor, as a reminder that we were all once strangers in a strange land. But I suppose the truth of that, and the larger truth, is that we find ways to help each other. And that's why I have always seen in the eyes of our new American immigrant neighbors, the eyes of great-grandparents that I have never met. You see, the cause we share is the same. The beliefs we share are the same. A belief in the dignity of every person, a belief in our own responsibility to advance and strengthen our common good. That's the dream made real by the Elias Flamenco's family, the dream made real by Elsie Perez Herrera's family, the dream made real by my own family, and by every family who loves their children and is willing to work hard in our country to give them a better future. It is, in short, the American dream made real that lifts all of us. As governor of Maryland, I fought to make that dream real every day, and we didn't wait for the polls to tell us that it was okay to do so. We did this by including more of our people more fully in the economic, social, and political life of our state, of our city, of our country. That's our formula for greatness as a country. In Maryland, we didn't wait for the federal government to act. We pursued our own DREAM Act to ensure that 36,000 Dreamers could have access to affordable higher education. And after I signed it into law, as some of you may know who were Marylanders, our Republican brothers and sisters petitioned it to referendum in an effort to defeat it at the polls. But we made our case of human dignity and the common good we share to the people of Maryland, and we turned around those polls, and we succeeded in passing the DREAM Act at the ballot, the first state ever to do so, and we did it with 59% of the vote of the people of Maryland. And this was not merely a victory for the Dreamers' future, it was a victory for Maryland's future. The more all of our people earn, the more they will earn, the better our economy does. In Maryland, we expanded driver's licenses to new American immigrants because people need to get to and from work safely and obey the rules of the road. In the very start of my administration, in 2008, I established the New American Commission to highlight and welcome the skills that were being brought to our state by new American immigrants from numerous countries. And that effort was helped by our first labor commissioner, Tom Perez, a name that might be familiar to you now. I regret I have but one cabinet to give to my country. During my 2 terms as governor, we increased government contracts to Latino-owned businesses by 154%. We became the first state in the nation to pass a living wage. We expanded the Earned Income Tax Credit not once, but twice. We raised the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, so that by 2016, hundreds of thousands of Marylanders have finally gotten a raise. We froze college tuition for 4 years in a row, and we did a better job than every state but one at keeping down the cost of college tuition, which of course helped Hispanic students as well. They earned twice as many associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees during my service as governor as they had in the 8 years before. We also worked to keep Maryland's unemployment rate among Hispanic workers down to one of the lowest in the nation. Anyone can talk about these things and can make promises, but las palabras no son hechos. Del dicho al hecho hay mucho trecho. I've actually done it. I have actually done it. That's what you learn to do as an executive. We created real opportunity in Maryland. We invested in our people. We did it by including more of our people more fully in the economic, social, and political life of our country. We didn't make it harder for people to vote. We made it easier. Together, we made the dream real for more and more families. And here's what I believe we must do in order to break the impasse and actually pass comprehensive immigration reform. First, we are and always have been a nation of immigrants, a pluribus unum. Out of many, we are one, and it is in everyone's best interest. It is in the best interest of the economy of the United States and the security of the United States for us to reform a system that is callous, irrational, inhuman, unjust, and holds down wages for all Americans. We must pass comprehensive immigration reform. And I intend to begin as president by providing immediate and further relief to the millions of new Americans whose hopes have been dashed time and again because Congress has failed to do its job. In all but the most extraordinary circumstances, immigrant detention must end, and it must end forever. Those inhumane centers, detention centers, must be shuttered. Government contracts with for-profit prisons are bad policy and must be ended. I will overhaul the U.S. immigration system by creating an independent agency to set policy instead of continuing this perpetual fight. This is about our values as Americans. It's also about creating an economy that works for all of us, bringing our neighbors out of the shadow economy and into the light of an open and inclusive American economy. It's about making wages go up for all Americans. Our country's come a long way. We're creating jobs again, 67 months in a row, but we need to get wages going up and not down. And one of the ways that we do that and rebuild the American dream is by passing comprehensive immigration reform. And I intend to campaign on it. Now, I know that many leaders within the Republican Party vilify, scapegoat, and seek every opportunity they can to speak ill of new Americans, and they have fought tooth and nail against immigration reform. I know that many of us have been offended at the hateful things that Donald Trump has said about new American immigrants, and I don't find it funny. I don't find it entertaining. I find it harmful to the spirit of America. As you well know, Trump calls all new Americans from Mexico, quote, rapists and drug dealers and murderers. And his hate is exceeded only by his paranoia. Give him a few more weeks and he'll say we need to bring back the dunking tanks and start looking for witches. Now, you can dismiss Donald Trump as the racist carnival barker he is, but the problem is that he has infected the entire Republican field of candidates, and they want to be like him. Trump uses the epithet anchor baby, and then Jeb Bush uses it as well. Say what you will about George W., he never proposed administering citizenship tests to newborn infants. Trump says he'll build a really terrific wall on the border with Mexico. Then another Republican candidate says we should build one on Canada as well, apparently to keep out the metric system. Now, it is long past time that we remember who we are and what we stand for as a people. We are a compassionate and generous people. And the enduring symbol of our nation is not the barbed wire fence, it is the Statue of Liberty. And as a leader of nations, we must improve our relationships with like-minded people here in our own American hemisphere. Maybe it's an Irish sensitivity, but I have a soft spot for island people who are getting a raw deal and being treated poorly. I want to speak to you, therefore, about your fellow Americans in Puerto Rico. And our neighbors in this hemisphere on the island of Hispaniola. Boricuas have been our fellow citizens for almost 100 years. They have contributed greatly to our economy, fought and died to defend our country, but today they are suffering through what may be the worst economic and fiscal crisis on that island's history. We must not let their economy collapse. I led the field of candidates in our party in calling for Congress to approve legislation giving Puerto Rico the same ability to negotiate with its creditors that states have under the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. And I led the field in calling on the Department of Health and Human Services to end the inequitable treatment of Puerto Rico, where they pay the same in taxes but get back pennies on the dollar when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act. And we all need to stand up with Puerto Rico and demand action. And on the island of Hispaniola, where mass deportations of Haitians and Dominicans of Haitian descent have already begun, I was the first and so far the only presidential candidate to call on the United States to work with our allies in the United Nations to use our full force of our diplomatic might to stop this atrocious affront to human rights here in our own hemisphere. We wouldn't tolerate the expulsion of citizens without due process based on skin color, ethnic background, and we shouldn't remain silent when such injustice is being perpetrated in our own hemisphere. Speaking up is the right thing to do, and we must all demand action. The people of our world care a lot more about what we do than about what we say. And that is why I pledge to you that I will always act in accordance with my principles and guided by the better angels of our country. That's who I am, and that's how I led, and that's how I will continue to lead. I want to leave you with this last American story. Many of you will remember the scene last year when refugee children were fleeing death gangs and traveling at great risk to their lives over the desert north from Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador, fleeing these murderous gangs. When children arrive on our doorstep fleeing starvation and death gangs, we must not turn our backs. We must not turn them away, or worse, pen them up behind chain link and barbed wire fencing in conditions that looked a lot more like those you might see at your local humane society than you would see in a humane country. No, we must act like the compassionate and generous people we have always been. I said at the time that we should care for these children decently and with respect for the dignity of every child, caring for them in foster homes, not in detention camps. Now, some governors around the country spoke of these children sometimes as if they were like a swarm of invading jackrabbits. But we took a different tactic in Maryland. I spoke to the goodness of our people. I said that we would welcome and we would do our part to alleviate this suffering. One of my advisors warned me at the time. He said, he himself, the son of new American immigrants, he said, "I love what you said about those Central refugee kids. But being a pollster, I have to tell you, I'm not sure how this one's going to turn out." Well, I did. I spoke truthfully to the goodness in every American heart, and people rallied. Faith leaders from every faith in our state came together to accommodate through foster care more children per capita in Maryland from Central America than any other state in the United States. It was the right thing to do, and the people of my state supported it. And here's the other part of that story. A few months later, when we held our traditional annual public open house at Government House, my wife and I stood in front of the Christmas tree, greeting a whole stream of citizens that came through in a long line to shake hands and say hello. One gentleman came up to me then, and there was a 13-year-old boy with him. And he said, "Mr. Governor, I want to introduce you to Emmanuel. He is 13, and he is one of those refugee children who just came here from Guatemala that you helped." And the little boy who had braved the desert and deprivation and death and worse, he came up to me and he shook my hand and then very quickly grabbed me around the waist in an embrace that I will never, ever forget. Emmanuel, God is with us. That little boy's dream is our dream. It is the dream of everything that's ever been possible in this beautiful and generous and compassionate country. Do you know who believes very firmly in the American dream and does not submit to the pessimism and the cynicism that many other Americans do? It is new American immigrants. Everyone who has ever risked their life to get here and make a better way believes in the American dream, will do anything to defend it and make it real and defend and protect our country. I believe it. You believe it. Our better days are ahead of us. So now together, let us fight to make it true. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.